already
I
slagging
gotta
you
go
off,
get a
dude.
pretty lady a beer real quick. I'll be right back.
How about getting a pretty man a beer?
Wow.
No, I'm good. Just kidding.
Sancho, go follow her. Go make sure that she's getting the beers taken care of.
I mean, I'm kidding.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wow.
While we're talking about NHL stuff on the local side, let's get into the national topic. And the prevalent topic in NHL circles right now is something that in Europe is commonplace, but it's the ad space on NHL jerseys. There's talk in light of the fact that Adidas just negotiated a jersey deal with the NHL. There's now talk there might be ads.
This is crazy. This story came up because it was last week. It was the night I believe we went out for Tia Cheese's birthday when Lord Cheese and Jesus Julio were having a conversation about Jesus thought it was horrible that in European soccer they had logos, advertisement space on the jerseys, and he was just completely pissed off about it. And Lord Cheese actually said to him, how would you feel if they put it on hockey jerseys? And he just absolutely went crazy. He doesn't like it and just wasn't going to do it. And it was just so funny to see. We talked about that last week, I think it was, 2 weeks ago maybe. And now all of a sudden it's actually a possible reality.
You have opponents and proponents of this, very differing opinions on this subject. And to me, as a traditionalist, as someone that's been following the sport my entire life, it is something I don't want to see. Now, part of this comes from the fact, I think for new fans, and understandably there's a lot of those because with the expansion movement over the last 30 years, actually 40 years, you go back to the 70s really, I can see where the newer fans might not have an issue with this. But anybody that's been a fan of, say, an original six team, anywhere where they follow the history of hockey, this is going to change the look, the historic presentation of these jerseys by adding ads.
Yeah, well, the other thing about it that that came up in that conversation we had a couple weeks ago was one of the reasons they sell ads on Premier League soccer is because that's what they have to do. They don't have a salary cap, so it's about buying players and it's about generating revenue,
right?
So you can afford players. In this situation where you have a salary cap and things like that, it's really not going to come into play. The only thing it's going to come into play to is profit in the network and profit in the owner's pockets, which, hey, I'm all for if you're going to make money, but at least in Premier League, it serves a purpose. It builds revenue for the team so they can afford to buy the best players. And, here it's not going to do that. It's not going to have any effect on how the players are selected. Now, they may raise the salary cap as revenue becomes higher, and all it's going to do is pay the hockey players more and maybe the ownership more, and the network. But it's not necessarily going to change the sport in any way other than making the jerseys look different.
But I think it turns off some of the fans, and that's where there's an issue.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think there's a point to it. There is no point to it other than the fact that it's just more money to be made.
Well, I think, like you said, as far as raising revenue, as far as there being a higher salary cap, well, that's a great thing when it comes to fans. But at the end of the day, it takes away from the history of it all.
I agree,
and that's something I don't want to see. I mean, you're an old school hockey fan.
I am.
How do you feel about it?
You look at the jerseys that you'd find in pro soccer.
Yeah.
And there's usually not a lot. Usually the jersey will say Fly Emirates, or
it just has the one logo on the front.
And
yeah.
I mean, it's such an elegant, simple piece of artwork that's on their body. That's such a tradition.
Yeah.
200.
Well, and like I said,
oldest. I mean,
it's not going to improve anything. Like I said, in the situation we had, you have in the pro soccer and the Premier League soccer, is it improves things because it gives the team's revenue. We got a call coming in here.
We got a call.
Yeah, hold on. Here we go. Cranial Mission Show. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, you want to go ahead and hold on just a second. Go ahead, hold on, caller. Caleb, go ahead and turn down the volume of the caller. I already know who this is. As soon as we started getting into ads on jerseys, I had a feeling that we might be getting a call from Lord Cheese, and that is indeed who this is it not?
It is indeed, gentlemen. I feel that you need a rational voice in this mix.
So why did you call?
I called in to say that, first off, By the way, if you're a fan of hockey, and I use the word fan lightly in this country, but if you're a fan of hockey, it wouldn't matter whether they wore pink abs all over their jersey, you would still watch the game.
I'm not suggesting that you're...
If you have an affinity to say that it will turn you off the sport, then you're not a fan.
I'm not suggesting, my friend, that you're going to stop watching the game. What I'm saying is it does tarnish the legacy, the historic legacy of what we have. And now I understand that when it comes...
Hang on, you can say that about any sport in the entire world. Every sport in the world that has any history whatsoever started without advertising.
Yeah, but you guys are used to it. I mean, you guys are the dirty whores of sports. I mean, you guys are used to being a corporate shill.
Just because we're not a communist country when it comes to sports and salary caps does not make us whores.
It's the fact that you're a whore that makes you whores.
That is correct.
Okay,
the fact that the back of the car park might make us a whore is a whole different matter. No, it's funny that this comes up because, as Caleb said, we did have this conversation, and it's an inevitability. And if people think it's not an inevitability, then, you might as well get a cup of coffee.
You are right about that. It's eventually going to happen. I mean,
there's no point debating. It's like, of course it's coming.
I mean,
they control NFL TV time.
No, absolutely. But I mean, you look at a hockey jersey, and there's so much history in many of the teams. I mean, the Bostons, the Chicagos, the Detroits. I mean, all your original six-style teams. Even though, I mean, it's just such an elegance in the legacy of the uniform.
And Miggy, you bring up the Boston Bruins, who Stacey Cheese is a fan of. So, Stacey, you say it's inevitable that at some point there will be an ad on a Boston Bruins jersey that says "Wicked Awesome Used Cars."
Absolutely. And of course there will be.
Or Wicked Tuna.
What they'll do is they'll do it very nicely. It'll be a small emblem somewhere on the side or on the back. We all know they have central emblems, which they don't have in many other sports. So obviously you can't get a big blazing advertisement like they have in Europe.
On the stomach,
I don't see that happening.
On the stomach, it's going to be Wicked Tuna live on Discovery, 7 to 9 o'clock over there.
Well, Stacey, you brought up a good point. In part of the conversation we had a week or two ago was about the NFL, having TV time and timeout time for that. And you were arguing with Jesus that the sport would actually be better if they had advertisements on the jerseys and didn't take as many commercial breaks.
Well, imagine the possibilities, guys. Imagine the possibilities. Like, take case in point, the New Jersey Devils, sponsored by Snooki and all of them. Okay, what was the show called
by the
again?
guys who broke into my account and stole money today.
What was the frickin' show called again with Snooki and all of them? Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore.
Jersey
So,
Horse.
The New Jersey Devils, sponsored by Jersey Shore. On the jersey, you now have a white belt. Okay, and everyone
they have to tuck their jerseys in, and they wear a white belt.
Yes, and everyone has a spray-on orange tan when they go out.
And they're always late because they're busy doing laundry.
There's a good question for you that Caleb brings up. If in the NFL they said they were going to put an advertisement somewhere on each jersey of each team, and if they're allowed to do that, they're going to remove all of the TV timeouts, they're going to remove commercials from the game completely, and they're going to speed the game up so it's a more exciting, fast-paced game rather than the boring cack that it is today.
Or
would you or would you not say that's a good idea?
I
Soccer
would,
plays uninterrupted. So does all European sport because of advertising.
I would, Stacey, but that's not what they're going to do. Okay, instead...
Of course, they're just going to double dip.
Yeah, they're going to double dip. They're going to continue with the commercials because we're already conditioned to it, and add the ads, and hoard the money. That's not what they're going to do. You're not going to see reduced TV timeouts.
All I will let you know is I will be taking some of the funds from the Cheese Manor restoration, and I will be buying the Montreal Canadiens space. That is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it I'm going to outbid anybody, and I'm just going to put a huge penis on one side, and on the other side, I'm going to put a picture of a soccer player diving, and that really typifies that team.
No, but you got to have somebody standing over him real quick, spraying magic spray on him.
In a Bruins jersey.
That's what I was going to say. What you should do is buy the Montreal Canadiens logo space and then put a Bruins logo on it. That would go over.
No, actually,
that would be fabulous.
Actually, it should be the other way
The
around.
West Wing is going to remain in disrepair, but it will be worth it.
It should actually be the other way around because the Canadians have been owning that Boston Bruin ass all throughout history. Just FYI.
We're whores. We just give it to you. You don't own it.
Hey, Stacy, I like to use the term "have not." Just saying.
I honestly, I think they may as well put advertising on there. Get rid of the salary cap and let's make this a real game where we can squeeze out all these crappy teams.
This is true. I could dig it. Winnipeg Jets, bye.
While we have Lord Cheese on the phone, this is something that I know he's got an opinion on. I certainly do.
He's got an opinion on everything.
That is true. That is true. An NFL player, James Harrison, very well-decorated linebacker in the NFL, played for the Pittsburgh Steelers for a long time, has a very strong opinion about participation trophies, so much so that he was in the news because he came home, found that his young kids had earned participation trophies for playing in, intramural sports and recreational sports, and he took those trophies and threw them away.
Nice.
And to me, I love this statement. I love the fact that he's come out in the news with this because this has become a social trend now. This whole notion that every kid should be lauded for their accomplishments, no matter how minimal they are. I like this stance because to me, this is promoting a very self-indulgent nature of accomplishment when back in the day, if you sucked at a sport, you didn't play at all. Miggy, I know you got an opinion.
I like this idea, and I believe it. You shouldn't get a trophy for not doing shit. But I'm hoping he explained to his children, hey, this is why I don't think these trophies are deserved.
Yeah.
You got to kids. Most kids nowadays don't understand. I mean, they understand you win, you get trophies, but now they're dealing with the whole you win, you don't win, you get a trophy anyway. So I hope he explained to his kids why he did what he did.
Yeah.
To give them a sense of, hey, this is what I need to strive for to appreciate and deserve this trophy.
By explain, do you mean remove his belt whilst uttering the "How dare you bring this into my house"? Because if so, I'm in thorough agreement with you.
Yes, I agree.
Well, I think we're going to see.
The NFL.
Got to beat a kid sometimes.
I think we're going to actually see a change in this a little bit coming up. I've been doing research a lot on the newer generations coming up, and now we're on. The millennial generation has been the big thing lately, but actually coming up right behind the millennials is the Generation Z, or what they call Generation Edge. And one of the big differentiators in that generation is that they kind of grew up in a recession, and they haven't had everything handed to them like the millennials have had.
Yeah.
They haven't been told the world is great. They haven't been given everything they wanted. So these kids are growing up having to actually work for stuff, and they're actually saying that this next generation of kids is actually more entrepreneurial. They're harder workers, and they understand the fact that
This
you have
generation
to go
of kids?
the generation coming up now, the kids that are coming of age right now.
I mean, Caleb, that is actually something.
Well,
like just turning 18, 19 years old now.
No, but hold on, guys. This is something, Caleb, that you actually have in common with Jared from Subway because he's been doing a lot of research on the younger generation.
Wow.
But
Wow. You know what?
Sometimes you gotta give a kid
participation trophies.
Shut up, Stacy. I'm trying to make a point here.
Sometimes
And
you
I-
got to give a kid a participation trophy in a Subway sandwich.
And I appreciate the jokes as much as anybody, but I'm trying to bring real hard facts here, and you're shitting on my parade.
Yo, Caleb got deep, yo.
I'm kidding. You can go ahead now, Stacy. I'm sorry.
You bring up the participation trophy, but you're missing most of it. That's the old story. I mean, for the last 10 years or so, in what you would call, I guess, elementary school, in the UK, there's no such thing as even a winner's trophy. You don't just get a participation medal for coming second or third or 10th. Actually, in sport days there are no medals and no trophies and no first place and no points
So
whatsoever.
no winners, no losers, nothing.
Oh, that's
No,
right. I
there
heard
are
that.
no trophies. They literally, you just run around for no apparent reason whatsoever.
This is to keep.
and then it finishes.
It's to keep kids from getting upset if they win or lose. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's
But
fucking
If we
ridiculous.
don't have kids get upset and get picked on, where are the new serial killers coming from?
This is California, most
I mean, that's
likely.
gonna make
Well, no,
movies very
California.
And that's what I was saying about this new generation coming up. Is that they've actually grown up dealing with a little more of the bullying because of the social bullying. Now, obviously, we as a society have tried to curb that as much as possible.